Right, good evening everybody and welcome to the Daiwa Anglo-Japanese Foundation. My name is Jason James. So this evening's topic, what could be more romantic than underwater archaeology in Okinawa? And I'll just briefly introduce our two speakers. Yumiko Nakanishi, next to me here, is an archaeologist working for the Osaka Prefectural Board of Education. And she has an MPhil in archaeology from Cambridge University, and is on the way to also a PhD at Cambridge at some point. But obviously she's busy working full-time in Osaka and working on various archaeological projects on Ishigaki Island in Okinawa Prefecture. And our other speaker, Chiaki Katagiri, as you can see from his shirt, is based in Okinawa. He's chief curator of archaeology at the Okinawa Prefectural Museum and Art Museum. And he is a specialist in Okinawa archaeology, and particularly in underwater archaeology, and organised a large-scale special exhibition on Okinawa's underwater cultural heritage at his museum last year, and has also co-authored a book published last year, which I'm afraid is in Japanese only, Underwater Cultural Heritage in Okinawa. So I'll pass over to Yumiko to start us off, is that right?
Hi everyone, I'm Yumiko, and thank you very much for coming here today. And thank you very much for Daiwa Foundation for providing this opportunity here today. And as Jason has just introduced, I'm working in Osaka. But on top of my everyday work in Osaka Prefecture, I try to do sort of archaeology project too. So today's talk is about my different part of archaeological project. And as he's introduced, today's talk will be mainly in Okinawa and about the British ship wrecked in Okinawa. And there are quite a few British ships wrecked in Okinawa. And when I talk about to the British people, like everybody said, they look really surprised. And you might have been surprised today too. But yes, indeed, there are quite a few shipwrecks in Okinawa, I mean the British ship. And today's talk is going to be divided into two halves. So the first half will be presented by Chiaki and what we've done so far in Okinawa. And the latter half will be the what we've done in Britain. And actually, every time I talk about my current work to my colleagues in Osaka, saying that, oh, I'm going to field work, which means that I'm going to diving in this ocean, everybody said that we're just having fun, which is not quite true. So today's talk can prove that how hard we've been working, actually, going there to do diving. And so, yes, I'll pass Chiaki for the first half of the talk today.
Hi, I am Chiaki Katagiri. Came from Okinawa in Japan. I am working at Okinawa Prefectural Museum and Art Museum as a curator. Thank you very much for this opportunity to give a lecture here in Britain on our research of the British wreck for which we have been searching for a long time. Okinawa, being different from Japanese mainland, belongs to the subtropical climate zone. This shirt I am wearing today is formal clothing called kariushi wear, designed after traditional textiles in Okinawa, and the pattern is mostly adapting local culture and natural themes. When Okinawa Summit was held in 2000. The British Prime Minister, Mr. Tony Blair, was wearing this too. I recommend you today to think about having one. It is very nice and comfy. Today we are talking about Okinawa Island, located at the southern end of Japanese archipelago. Okinawa Island belongs to Ryukyu Archipelago. Britain is located at the western end of Eurasian continent. On the contrary, our islands are at eastern end. Looking at this world map, the islands of Ryukyu Archipelago are so small that you cannot find them. So let's look closer. Can you see them now? Ryukyu Archipelago consists of 199 islands studding vast sea area, extending over about 1,200 kilometers. Okinawa Island is almost at the center and the largest island, as I said, being different from Japanese mainland. The islands are subtropics, warm and throughout the year. Surrounded by the amazing beautiful ocean and coral reef, and so it is mecca for scuba diving and other marine sports. Actually, there once was an independent state in Ryukyu Archipelago called Ryukyu Kingdom. Shurijo, the royal palace in Okinawa Island, was the hub of the kingdom, and the kings ruling the islands were living there. In 1879, Japanese government invaded or annexed, as they say, the kingdom. The king then was taken away from Shurijo to Tokyo. And there, the independence of the Ryukyu Kingdom came to an end. Our story today would date back to around that time. Anyway, today, Ryukyu Archipelago is part of Japan and called Okinawa Prefecture. The Ryukyu Kingdom was a maritime state and had a good command of ocean-going ships like Chinese junks. The kingdom greatly flourished on transit trade connecting Japan, Korea, China, and Southeast Asia. From the late 18th century to the late 19th century, many Western ships started to appear in the sea around the kingdom. The picture is depicting Shurijo and Naha port, painted on a folding screen, showing the prosperity of Naha as an international port during the 19th century. If you look closer to this picture, you can see the Western ship depicted, proving that many Western ships called in Ryukyu. The graph shows number and nationality of the Western ships appeared there by year. The British ships were outstandingly dominant over the other countries from the late 18th century to mid-19th century. You may know better than us the reason for this phenomenon. With this historical background of the Ryukyu Kingdom as a maritime state, we had been investigated on the distribution of underwater cultural heritage in Ryukyu Archipelago for about 10 years. The pie chart shows the classification of the underwater cultural heritage found so far in Ryukyu Archipelago. By now, we found 2 232 sites. The sites include burial type, not only the wreck site, but also the sites just with scattered objects and the coastal site like ports, quarries, saltwalk, etc. 9 sites are identified as the wreck site out of 232. The map shows the location of the 9 wreck sites. 6 sites out of 9 are identified as the Western Shipwreck. Furthermore, 4 wreck sites marked in red. Out of 6 Western Shipwrecks are the British wreck. This data coincides with the previously shown slide that the British was the dominant among the ships appeared in the Ryukyu Sea area since the late 18th century. Today, talk focused on the British ship wrecked in Okinawa, the one with the star on this map, at the northern edge of the Okinawa island of the Ryukyu Kingdom. First of all, I will start talking with where we started our research. In the northern edge of Okinawa Island, there is a village called Ginama, and a memorial stone with the engraving called the Dutch grave stands in peace in the village. I will read out what is inscribed on the stone. In 1874, a British ship encountered typhoon. The vessel was stranded and cast up off the coast of Ginama in Hedo village. It was a large sailing ship, fully loaded with peanuts and timber. Only 5 of the crew survived and all the others were drowned to death. 4 dead persons washed ashore and the villagers buried them here and named this place the Dutch grave. The government of the Ryukyu Kingdom sent an interpreter to Ginama village to settle down the incident. After then, and someday, the survivors were sent to Unten port by dugout boat, and then to Naha, Kurigami village office before the Second World War held a war clock sent from Britain for gratitude of rescuing the crew. In short, what is written there is as this slide. Here is a place where 4 persons had been buried. The bodies of the crew cast ashore were carefully buried using huge building stones. The memorial in the previous slide was newly constructed in 1981. This burial place is right behind the memorial, using 12 pieces of rectangular building stones. The burial area is enclosed. The stones are granite, not produced in Okinawa at all. The largest piece measures 310 centimeters long by 60 centimeters by 15 to 20 centimeters. We found it out later that these building stones were loaded on the wrecked British ship. Next is a granite building stone, which is said. This is a photo of Ginama coast. The Dutch grave is right here, located along the coast. In the area among this coast, there are quite a few objects said to be originated from the British wreck. The first one is stock anchor. It has been salvaged from the seabed and used to moor in ship at Oku fishing port. This anchor was moved again to the ground in 1981. It has been used over 100 years. It is now carefully presented here as the symbolic monument of the port. Next is granite building stones, which is said to be a road in the villages nearby the Dutch grave. Granite building stone in the same size are used in quite a few places. For instance, some of them are used as part of the communal graveyards in the nearby village. One as a memorial for the Second World War victim at the nearby village office. Another one as a sealing stone in the clan grave of the local powerful leader during of the Ryukyu Kingdom. The length of all those stones vary, but they are all 60 centimeters wide and from 15 to 20 centimeters thick. The width and thickness measure about the same as the one used for the Dutch grave. The granite building stones said to be from British wreck. They seem to be standardized product. Based on such information, we started archaeological research underwater to precisely located to site of the British wreck. In 2003, we did underwater investigation for the first time. It's a sea area, right in front of the Dutch grave. As a result, we were incredibly lucky to discover the wreck site after the first dive. To be honest, this was my first underwater research. I can't find any other word but lucky to express our situation then. We named this site as Ginama Wreck Site, after the name of the coast and the village there, and then started underwater investigation in earnest. We have done so far first times as such. Parts found on the seabed includes some parts of the western ship, part of ventilating duct, pulley, copper seating. All those belong to the wooden western ship. I suppose we have also found the nails to attach the copper seating. We have also found large amount of Chinese ceramic bowls. more Chinese products, we have also found lot of stoneware jars. And some European ceramic are also found. Glass products like wine bottle. We have found the one not broken at all, but unfortunately no wine left in the bottle. Fork and butter knife also thought to be made in Europe. The slide shows an aerial photograph of the area. Dotted with the point where we found artifact. There is an area where the object highly concentrate. So, from this, we managed to identify where exactly the ship has been stranded and sunk. Having confirmed material evidence of the wreck through the archaeological research, what we needed to do then was searching in historical documents. In search of historical records of this accident, we started our search with the historical documents in Okinawa and moved to those in Japan, and then finally to those the British. Government and English newspaper search on the internet. Among those, what we got to most information was a Foreign Office document called FO, Record of British Government Side. It contained correspondences and minutes between Foreign Office in UK and government establishments abroad. They are indeed contemporary first resources. The full collection of FO is kept in the UK National Archive. But what are related to China and Japan are copied and also kept in Library of Tokyo University in Japan. We tried to look through this document in Tokyo. Through this document, we were able to find out a lot of facts. Here, I summarized what we found out through historical record search. 1. We found out her name. Her name was Benares, and she was a clipper ship of 822 tons. 2. Working as a wool clipper between Australia and Britain. In her early years, with a promised future, supposing from the newspaper ID. 3. Loaded with rice, sugar, tea, and timber. Departed from Hong Kong for San Francisco on 13 September 1872. But on 6 October, stranded in Ryukyu because of typhoon. 4. 80 crew member under the master James Anderson. 30 crew members, including the master, died. 4 people were buried in Ryukyu, that is a Dutch grave. 5. Few survived Westerners landed a Westerner run into the mountain. he ran away further into the recesses of the mountain. As the villagers approached, a villager holding a rice bowl beckoned him to come closer and gestured to eat. Then finally, the westerner came closer to the villagers. The villager took great care of the survived crew. As they could not communicate through language, the villagers to try to gesture. They managed to understand each other through gesture. It is indeed a heartwarming story, isn't it? And it's the next. There are contradictions but were written in Okinawa and Japan. Firstly, let's look at Japanese records. The Ryukyu Kingdom at that time was an independent state, but under the ruling influence of both China and Japan. The letter was reported at the accident to Japanese government. There it says, no 6A, no traces of the hull, no load of the ship, but just some remnants collected. 6B, villagers swarmed like ants to salvage rice and crops. The local document records that the villagers swarmed like ants to collect rice, and it was reported to Japanese government that there were hardly anything left worth recovering. I will leave you to judge which was the true story. Seventh, there seem to be two anchors. Seventh, there seem to be two anchors. One iron anchor recycled to farming tools, and the other used for mooring at the port in Oku. We've seen the photo of the anchor used for mooring at the port. All the survivors safely went back to China. Then it was recorded that the villagers refused to receive any rewards for this incident. One of the survivors testifies that so as it is highly likely to be true. 9. A wall clock was sent from Britain as gratitude as kept in Kunigami village office, but burned in the fire. 10. International exchanges after the incident were recorded in detail. Talking about the clipper ships, as the most beautiful sailing ship, the Katisak is, of course, very famous in Japan too. Total length of 216 feet and the gross tonnage of 936 tons, which is slightly larger than the Benares of 820 tons. Our research team members, we all were so impressed with this fact. The ship we were searching for was the clipper ship, same as the Katisak, the most famous sailing ship, and they even are in similar size. Then here, having through that more or less all we can search in Japan, we decided to finish the historical document search in Japan. Now, after hearing about the result of historical records, researchers, have you noticed two significant types of artifacts did not appear at all in the document? Yes, Chinese ceramic and granite building stone. Here, we need to go back to the research on material culture again. Underwater investigation revealed that the Benares was loaded with lot of Chinese ceramic. Notable object was these bowls. We have found the only one type of bowl in the same shape with the same pattern. This is a very rare or rather usual case in the site of the trade ships. Also, great amount of Chinese ceramics have been excavated in Okinawa, but we have never ever seen the same type of object with this bowl. It is only from the Benares these ceramic bowls are found. Moreover, Chinese ceramics were never recorded in historical documents we searched. We studied on Chinese pottery, trying to solve this mystery. As researchers, we found out these ceramic bowls have been excavated in great quantity on the west coast of the United States. The site yielding this type of ceramic bowl are related to the Coolies, inhabitants, Chinese cheap laborer, came to the United States in the 19th century. The bowls was called three circle and dragonfly due to the pattern on it. Here we see three circle and dragonfly. I'm not sure if it really imitated dragonfly, but someone thought so, I guess. This picture shows Chinese laborers having a meal in San Francisco. Looking closely, you see now a bowl of three circles and dragonfly is on the table. The Chinese ceramic loaded on the Benares was for the use of Chinese laborers. There is a term, coolies trade. We suspect that the Benares may have been related to this trade, but we haven't done any researches on coolies trade in US yet, and so we can't really talk about it. As the next stage, we need to do some researches in US. Another object invisible in the document, granite building stone. Where are they from? To find it out, we went to Hong Kong, the last place of departure for the Benares. We found out Hong Kong produced good granite. The picture shows a view of the Victoria Bay in 1870s, just about the time the Benares departed from Hong Kong. Looking closer at the picture, you can see large rectangular standardized building stones are piled up. The building stones from the Benares are also in standardized size, if you remember. When we looked at various buildings there. We realized granite is often used for parts of the buildings, such as stone, stairway, building base, and the like. The picture is taken at the Tin Hau Temple in Hong Kong Island. Those stones loaded on the Benares were possibly to be used for Chinese-style building. Here we will summarize what are disclosed about the Benares by archaeological investigation. These artifacts are retrieved from the wreck site. A pulley, copper, seating, and nails are apparently remnants of the western ship, supporting that the shipwrecks here was the western ship. Also, European ceramic, fork, and butter knife suggest that there were the crew practicing Western lifestyle in eating and drinking. And Chinese pottery pieces have been found the most. But historical document records that the Benares was loaded with rice, sugar, and timbers, without mentioning Chinese products at all. Chinese ceramic bowls were to be used by coolies for dining. Granite building stone possibly for constructing Chinese-style building. Now we all realize of what archaeology is capable. Archaeology can disclose forgotten or in some cases conceal past through the material evidence left. This is what we found in Japan. Now we will move to another part of the story, searching the Benares in Britain. Thank you.
So hi again. Here we start our project in Japan, in Britain. In this teaching paper. And having realized the limit of what we could find out in Japan, we decided that we should set up the project in Britain to find more about the Benares in the country where she is from. And this research is part of the project funded by the Daiwa Foundation. Thank you very much. And normally, if you think about the British ship of the 19th century, you will all think that, oh, that would be easily found by Lloyd's Register. And we thought so too. And we searched on the internet as much as possible that over 30 some years of Lloyd's Registry, but strangely enough, I could not find anything about the Benares we are looking for. So we thought that we need a research in Britain. And then the first thing we've done was asking my archaeology friends, because that's always the best way to get more information where to start. So they all give us great clues, and research wouldn't have been progress without their help, and thank you very much. And some of them are here today. Thank you. So, okay. After some clues given from our friends, the first place we have contacted was the London Guildhall Library, because they have the good Lloyd's Maritime collection there. And we were advised to consult Casualty Returns Report, searching for the record of the accident. And yes, there. I've looked through the 1873 volume, 1873 years volume of the Casualty Returns Report. Then there is the Benares. If you look at the red underlined part, it says difficult to see. But it says Benares 12 years, and Ryukyu Island, and they also totally stranded, departed from San Francisco, and departed from Hong Kong to San Francisco, and cargo and passengers unknown, and stranded in Yambara Island, Ryukyu Island. Yambara means probably Yambara, which is still used name for the northern part of Okinawa Island. So there it is. It coincides with what we were looking for. So this is the Benares we were searching for. We also had a new information on top of what we knew. Age of the Benares, it says 12 years in 1872. So that means she was built in 1860. And strangely, it says cargo and passengers unknown. But we all have looked at the previous document in Okinawa and Japan. It said that the cargo was rice, crop, timbers, peanuts, and the like. But the document in Britain, it says the cargo is unknown. And I'm not quite sure if they didn't really know what was loaded or just they didn't want to tell. And another document we've looked at was Mercantile Navy list. And now we got more information on Benares. So according to this Mercantile Navy list, also kept in the Guildhall Library, it is official record of the British merchant ships published annually and listing the technical details and owners of the vessels in alphabetical orders. And here we found the Benares name between 1864 volume to 1873. So a few years after she was constructed and up until the next year of her accident. And here we got the official number of the Benares, 47385, and it's underlined there, the bottom row of the page. And she was built in Medford, United States, and on the marginal outside bottom, it also said foreign name Louisa. So, strangely enough, the record we found said that the Benares was constructed in Medford, Massachusetts, United States in 1860. So that explains actually a lot, because that's probably why we couldn't find any information on the Benares on the Lloyd's Register in London. Probably she was constructed and she was checked up in the United States and then sold to the Britain after a few years. That only after 1864 we could find her name on the Mercantile Navy list. And because we got the official number of the ships, so the next place we went was the National Archive in Kew Garden, because we wanted to look for the statutory report, which is the official registry of the ship with lots of information contained. And we have to look through the 20 years of volume of the statutory report, because we thought that we should cover the all years of the Benares life. And I thought it's going to be a lot of work, so we just asked our friend to help me out too, so who's just sitting there. Thank you very much then too. And actually, it wasn't me, her, who found the statutory report of the Benares. So let's look closer. It was in the 1864 volume. Then, as I've said, that every ship has got statutory report, so the Katisak also had a statutory report too, as such. We will compare it later. Now, let's go back to the Benares and let's look closer. And when we look at this statutory report, it says on the top row with red underline, official number of the Benares, 47835, and the name, Benares. So, but I'm sure that you all have noticed that red scroll underneath. And here we look at what it says. It looks like something added later. It says, registry noted 26 February 1873, vessel reported to have been lost at Ryukyu Island. Certificate registry not produced from, sorry, I couldn't read out that part of the handwriting. but received 1st March 1873. So that confirming that this is a registry of the Benares we have been seeking for. The accident is recorded on the statutory report too. So it also has the detail, also the physical detail of the Benares too, which we've been really wanted to know, because we really wanted to see how she actually looked like. And she was foreign-built sailing ship built in 1860 in Medford, United States of America, with foreign name Breezer. Okay, that's all same as we got in Mercantile Navy list. And she was rigged as a ship, carver built with wooden framework, with 2 decks, 3 masts, and the measurements were 165 feet in total length, 35 feet in main breadth, and 22.2 feet in depth. The report also showed the name and addresses of owners of the ships. On the back side, name and register number of the successive masters were found too. And here at the bottom of the right low, it says James Sanderson, 5742, the same as the name of the master of the last voyage. So now let's, make it easier to imagine what she would look like. I tried to make the comparison with the Kachsak. And quite a few parts are the same, but quite a few parts are different. Like marked part are the different part. Benares was built in 1860, 10 years after, 10 years before the Kachsak. And framework, Kachsak framework is iron with wood planking, but the Benares was made whole wood. That reflects the trend in the framework construction. Because in 1863, the first clippers of composite construction using iron were brought out. And this system, invented in Liverpool and worked very well, combined the strength of iron frames with advantage of wooden planking, which could be copper sheathed to prevent falling. So from then onwards, all the T-clippers and other clippers were composite built, like Kachsak. But the Benares was constructed slightly before then in 1860, so that's wooden. This affects on the appearance too, probably. By adapting iron, framework does not take up as much space as wooden one, which makes the ship more spacious, allowing larger load without getting much bigger. Looking at the measurement, apart from the length, the figures are all more or less the same between those two ships, the width and depth. Just Kachsak is about 50 feet longer than the Benares. This difference in length will take up the difference in gross tonnage by 100 tons, like 921 tons and 822 tons. And it is probably due to the difference in framework. Also, country of production might have been related, because the Benares were built in the United States, as we've seen, and the British clipper ships were generally, particularly in later years, like the Kachsak's time, more beautiful and considerably less broad, less sheer and less freeboard than the American ones. And the stern shape was also different, and Kachsak got round stern, which is a newer characteristic, and the Benares got square stern. And on top of this document, the statutory report, we also found the agreement and account of the crew. This is the agreements of the crew who are on board on the ship. They just all sign up for this contract before they go onto the ships. It is very interesting document, because you can really look at how the everyday life of the crews are like on board. Like, for instance, they mentioned about what they eat. Like, they were provided with a pound of bread every day, and 1.5 beef, and 1.25 pint of pork every other day, half pint of rice on Sundays somehow, and teas and coffee daily. And it also said underneath in handwriting, it said no spirits, no syringes or improper languages. Bedding to be brought on the deck once a week. That sounds really decent and polite way of life on board. That was really interesting. But on the back side, we had actually more crucial information for us. The list of the crew on board. with some personal details like name, age, birthplace, job engaged in on board, like the crew, the cook or steward or carpenters or the like, and also brief career experience of the crew, like which ship he was on board before. For instance, the top line with the red underline is a master named James Anderson, 50 years old. He was born in London, and master registration number is 5712. And the most information here matches with what we found in FO, we've mentioned before, the British Foreign Office document research in Tokyo University. And here it also has new information too. And actually you also see the names of those who buried in the Dutch graves in Okinawa when we look at both together, FO and this document. So here the orange marks are the people who are buried in Okinawa. Actually, not only the archive researches, being as an archaeologist, we also did a research on material evidence too. Here we visited the Museum of London and Museum of London Archaeology, and my friend here helped me a lot too. And as we introduced before, we found many European objects from Ginama wreck sites in Okinawa underwater. And we wanted to, they are the really small pieces, but we wanted to identify what those pieces are from. So we visited the Museum of London, and thanks to their reference collections, we tried to find out what it looked like before. And that white pieces on left bottom is probably you will recognize a jar to contain jams and cookies in the kitchen. So probably that was in the kitchen of the ship. And also the other one with a larger diameter on the right top was identified as the washing basin. So someone would have been washing his face every morning using this washing basin. And according to the specialists in the Museum of London, all those products, all those pieces are certainly British pottery, and probably around stock dated around the late 19th century, relieved that nothing contradicts. So European pottery pieces belong to, it would have been trouble if those European pieces would have been belonged to completely different time, but we managed to find out it was good. So our research started from only one stone memorial, the Dutch grave. If you remember the Dutch grave in the previous photos, we knew because of the interaction afterwards, we all knew that the ship was British ship, but still that was called as Dutch grave. Some people might thought that that's really strange. But the reason why that is Japan hasn't been completely opened their country yet at that time. And only some ports were open, but not completely. So, and officially we were in touch only with Dutch people, if they were Westerners. So if you were in touch with the Westerners, they're supposed to be Dutch, not British. So that's why we just said that this is a Dutch grave to settle things down. And starting from our Dutch grave, we progressed the research. We came across with so many things: local oral history, object left on the ground of the region, and discovery of the wreck sites on the coast, archival researches, and then we finally reached all the way to Britain here. In Britain, on top of archival researches and the Museum of London, we searched the traces of the Benares voyage too. That was the port of London where she was registered, and the Cardiff port was actually the last port she departed in Britain. And you all recognize the Gherkin probably, and that's a 21 Great St. Helens in the city. That was the address of the owners. And we followed the biography of the Benares. So researches on only one ship wrecked in Okinawa connected Japan, Hong Kong, Britain, and now it further continued to the United States. It is amazing how pieces of information scattered around the world can integrate it into one big story. This research proved the significance and efficiency and fun to undertake the international cooperation for the research. What we could not find out, what we could not find out at all in one country, if being in only one country, can be revealed in another country quite easily with some people's help. And the Benares case shows the ship, not only in an expected way as for the trade and transport, bring us the cultural interactions overseas, even unexpectedly by being wrecked, it can bring the cultural interactions. Through the wreck incident, people of Ryukyu in the past encountered the British crew, rescued the survivors and buried the dead, and people somehow cooperated to settle the issues after the incident. And Britain sent the gratitude and international friendship was built there. In the present, now, in search of the Benares, we trace her voyage by researching all possible aspects related to the Benares based on pieces of information left behind in Okinawa. Through international cultural interactions in various researches, we reached here. And in the future, we have not finished the research on Benares yet, apparently. It will continue from now onwards too. We now realize that we have to go to the States, although we expected that we will finish this research in Britain, but we have to go to the States next, which is good. And to find more about the Chinese ceramic bowls and use of the curies. And we really want to find out the plan on drawings of the Benares to find out exactly how she looked like. So we have to go and look for the shipbuilders. But then, at last, but not never the least, and the most significant international interaction through Benares, we must do one more thing in Britain left. We want to find out the bereaved and descendants of the crew members, particularly those who passed away at this accident and buried in Okinawa. According to a Foreign Office document, we know the list of the crew members who died at the accident, and even the name of the 4 people buried in the Dutch grave in Okinawa. And crew agreement can add more information on their personal details. Those who are buried are here. Robert Demirel, second mate. He's got registered number as second mate 293556. He was 24 years old, and actually he was from Jamaica. Oh, it was surprising also how international was the British ship at that time. And second person is Samuel Raffle, which is not common name in Britain, so I'm just wondering, maybe I could start the surname Raffle. But he was a cock and steward, 28 years old, and he was from Sudbury, which didn't say Sudbury in the States or Britain, but I believe that, I hope that that was Sudbury in Suffolk. And the third person was Frederick Brett. He was apprentice, 90 years old, from Southampton. And he said, unfortunately, it was really the first voyage for him, and with the unfortunate end. And the last person is Andrew Johnson. He was able seaman, 22 years old, from Sweden. So probably his surname would be Johansson, if I pronounce it properly. So they rest in peace under the Dutch grave even today. And the Dutch grave is taken great care even now by the local villagers in Okinawa village. So someday we hope it to happen that the bereaved in Britain come to Okinawa to visit the grave ancestors who died far away from home. And if the bereaved could build up the international friendship with the local villagers who's been taking great care of their ancestors' grave for more than 140 years by now, that would be really nice, I think. So that's all for our talk today. Thank you very much indeed for your kind attention.